This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim pass the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place you tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.
Knicks family, what's poppin'? Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. The New York Knicks, they do it once again, folks. They build a 20-point lead, and they blow it down the stretch. Not even down the stretch. In the fourth quarter, the Knicks scored just, 31 points in the second half? Teams know, ladies and gentlemen, that if you continue to play, the Knicks will eventually give it back to you, and that's exactly what they did tonight versus the Brooklyn Nets. I got my man Tony Crow here. We're going to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to talk about it. It was a valiant effort from the New York Knicks. They just couldn't get it done. It's been the story of the season. And this is the reason why the New York Knicks are not in the playoffs. Tony, what's going on, man?
Sam, it was a fun game to watch, through 3 quarters. And then that fourth quarter, we seen pretty much what we've seen all year for them. Bad execution down the stretch. Going away from team ball and seeing a little bit of ISO ball, turnovers, missed free throws.
Right.
So same things that kept us all year.
Yeah, and those missed free throws, man. Sheesh, those missed free throws. The Knicks they've got to figure out a way to make free throws. Because you're not going to win basketball games. You're not going to be able to put teams away if you're missing free throws. The Knicks missed like 14 free throws tonight. 15 free throws. They were 13 for 38. No, wait a minute. Hold on. I'm sorry. They were 21 for 36. Still, 15 free throws they missed tonight. It's tough to win games that way. And I know they lost the game by 12. Right? But if you make half of those free throws, it's a different game coming down the stretch. Make half of them, it's a different basketball game. You're going to see some and hear some impressive stats from the New York Knicks, but a lot of that was amassed in the first half of the game. Right? Obi Toppin played well. He played well the entire game. R.J. Barrett, for the most part, played well the entire game. Alec Burks had a dynamite first half. R.J. Barrett, 23 points, 7 rebounds, 7 assists. It looked at a point in that third quarter, I thought R.J. Barrett was going for a triple-double. But, man, the fourth quarter hit the Knicks hard. R.J. Barrett only shot 26% from the field and 18% from the three-point line, and he shot 58% from the free throw line. That's tough. I mean, it wasn't like that the entire game. There was a point in the game where R.J. was shooting a good percentage, a decent enough percentage from the field. He was never shooting that well from 3, but he was shooting a decent enough percentage from the field. But, of course, the Knicks they went ice cold in the fourth quarter. They couldn't get, and the Brooklyn Nets, they made all the right plays and made all the right shots. You know what I'm saying? Timely shots, something that the Knicks aren't good at doing. Alec Burks, 24 points, 4 rebounds. I think Burks had like 18 points in the first half, only 6 in the second. Obi Toppin, 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 3 blocks. He was 53.8% from the field. He was 50% from the three-point line. He was 50% from the free throw line. All the Knicks shot bad from the free throw line for the most part. Obi Toppin played a nice game. But look, he didn't elapse. He didn't get his career high. So, like I said earlier today, if he gets a career high, I won't say anything negative. He didn't get it, so I'm within my right to say anything negative about him if I see fit. So don't start coming at me. But I ain't saying nothing negative right now because I can't think of anything. I think he played a pretty good basketball game. 19 points, 5 rebounds. Jericho Sims, 10 points, 13 rebounds. Jericho was a beast down there, ladies and gentlemen. He was. He was a beast down there. And you know, he was battling. He was bumping. He was bodying people around.
Hey, if he could hit free throws, we might have won that game.
Yeah, Jericho Sims, he was 2 for 6 from the free throw line. Look, the one thing that Jericho Sims really has over Mitch, and we're going to really break down and talk about all these players, ladies and gentlemen, but the one thing that he has over Mitch, and I don't know if Mitch will get it with his body type, is the size. He's not as tall as Mitch, but, you know, wide shoulders, a bigger body that can really bump people around. He was able to bang with Andre Drummond down there, something that Mitch has trouble with. You know what I'm saying? You know, and Jericho Sims is definitely giving the front office something to think about, but we're going to get into it a little bit later. Evan Fournier, 8 points, 4 rebounds. He played 28 minutes. Emmanuel Quickly didn't really play well tonight. 6 points for Emmanuel Quickly, 5 assists. As for the Brooklyn Nets, well, ladies and gentlemen, the Nets were led in scoring by the one and only Kevin Durant. He had 32 points on the night, and he didn't start off shooting well. He was struggling. The Knicks were throwing those double teams at him. Now, he was finding people, but, you know, his teammates weren't exactly executing in the first half. He ended up with a triple-double, though. 32 points, 10 rebounds, and 11 assists to go with 1 steal and 2 blocks. He ended up shooting 50% from the field. While he was only 20% from the three-point line, he was also just about 90% from the free throw line. He was 8 for 9 from the free throw line. I mean, he still ended up with 32 points, ladies and gentlemen. And the first half was not really a good one for Kevin Durant. He didn't play well. I mean, he played okay. He played good. Let me not say that. Compared to Kevin Durant, he didn't play well. He was struggling a little bit, but he's a patient guy, high IQ. You know, he's going to make the right pass and then take the right shots, and eventually they're going to go down. Kyrie Irving, 24 points, 7 assists, 8 rebounds. He only shot 34% from the field and 25% from 3. Seth Curry had 15 points. Patty Mills had 15 points. Andre Drummond, 4 points, 9 rebounds. Bruce Brown, 5 points, 7 rebounds, and 5 assists.
Felt like Patty Mills had 15 in the fourth.
Talk to me. I'm telling you. You know, when you're confident, you know, confidence goes such a long way. When you're confident that you can beat a team, it could be 6 minutes left and the Knicks could have been up by 20, and the Brooklyn Nets would have felt like they can beat the team. They can beat the Knicks. They could come back and win. You know what I mean? That confidence goes so far. And somewhere along the line, I just believe that the Knicks were feeling like and thinking, when are we going to give this away? When is it going to happen? Because each time that the Knicks have played the Brooklyn Nets, the Knicks held a lead and they didn't hold it. The second time this season, they gave up a 20-plus point lead to the Brooklyn Nets. Second time, ladies and gentlemen. It's tough. You know what I mean? And I'm sure it plays into the psyche of the players. And they're young players. So I know what plays into the psyche, you know, when things start to get tight down the stretch and the Nets are hitting shots and the Knicks aren't. You know, and that's where you start to see, you know, just little gaffes, little mistakes, little things happen out there, you know, because, you know, you're forcing it. You're thinking about it. It's in the back of your mind. You know, am I going to make this mistake? Is it going to snowball from here? And then that's what makes it snowball. You know what I mean? That's what makes it snowball. Let's talk about R.J. Barrett and his performance, though. What did you think about R.J.'s performance, Tony?
I think he was solid, especially in the first half. I think he pressed a little bit in the second half. I definitely liked his facilitation. Mm-hmm. I think he had, like, If I'm not wrong, I think he had like 6 or 7 assists in the first half, right?
Yeah, I think he had he might have had 7 assists in the first half. I'll check it out, but yeah, he
Yeah.
had a number of
So
assists in the first half.
I mean, I like that. It's just gonna be an adjustment and a learning experience for him to finish out these games. It's gonna be harder with teams focusing on him. And I thought tonight was a prime opportunity for him because other guys got it going. I thought he was gonna kind of step it up even more in the second half. But he had trouble finishing at the rim. And I don't know. Sometimes I feel like he is getting hit, but I don't like the fact that he's starting to argue these times where he doesn't get foul calls, and he's got to fight through that. You know what I mean? Play through that.
Yeah. I mean, there are times when he's getting hit, and then there are times when he's not getting hit. I think he's going to suffer from the same things that Carmelo Anthony and Julius Randle suffer from. He's not a flopper. You know what I'm saying? And he doesn't strike me as the kind of guy that can act very well. Because of the type of body that he has. He has a strong body. Right? So, I don't see him being the type of guy that's going to, just start flailing his arms and falling all over the place. He's not that kind of guy. You know what I mean? And because he has a strong body, he can get hit and he may just get nudged a little bit or whatever it is. And it makes it where the referees don't necessarily call the foul, which is not fair to him. But, he's going to have to learn how to deal with that. And that could be, he's just going to have to learn how to deal with it, learn how to finish through the contact. You know what I mean? He's just that's going to have to be something that he really focuses on, finishing through the contact. Let me get to phone call. Caller, you're live. Spree, what's going on, man?
Sim, what's going on, man?
I'm feeling good. How about you?
I'm doing okay. I'm a lot more calmer watching these games. I don't know. The younger players, just knowing where we are, I don't know. I'm like calm about it.
Well. I guess when you're not expecting a win,
right?
You know what I'm saying, and you're not fighting for a playoff position or anything like that, then it's a little bit easier to be calm. You don't have to, stress out about a loss. So.
Yeah, I mean, if you've noticed, I've taken as much as I love calling into you, I've been calmer. I haven't needed to call you right away. But no, I'll just say this. A couple things. I want to just ask you this. Do you think it's possible, with the Knicks having so many picks and so many young players, assets, do you think there's a chance the Knicks could trade up in the draft to try and get the best point guard if we don't get – I don't know what our pick is going to be, but if they need to move up to get the best point guard, can they do that with what they have as far as picks?
I mean, it's possible. It's probably possible. It's going to depend on if the other team wants what the Knicks have.
Okay. I mean, I'm just trying to figure out how we get. Look, IQ's done some nice things here. I want to know. I want a point guard. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, Sim, saying I don't know who in college is the best point guard in the draft. I like some of the players in the tournament that are impressing me. I think they got to be there. If the Knicks want to move up, I hope they pick the right guy and they do it. Because we need a point guard. And also one thing about Sims, to me, I totally agree with you. He's impressing me, Sim. He's strong. He's holding his own. Yeah, he missed some free throws. I don't care. I mean, he's just strong. And he gives us a presence. He gives us a little bit of an edge on the court that we don't have. One thing about Obi. Obi's playing well, but I did not like the play where RJ threw it inside him. He threw it back. Maybe he was trying to get more position inside. But then Obi still got some work to do. You know the play I'm talking about?
I'm not exactly sure. Explain it to me again.
It was in the fourth quarter. We were trying to post him up. So RJ throws it into him. Mm-hmm. Obi, I think Kyrie's on him. Okay? So he throws it back out to RJ. Okay, maybe he's trying to get more position. even get better position. I'll live with that. And then Kyrie stripped the ball and it went out of bounds. I mean, Obi to me's got to be a little stronger. He did have a nice jump shot around the elbow. That was impressive.
Yeah. He cut to the basket. They gave it to him. He caught it. Boom, fade away, jump shot. It was a nice shot.
I mean,
you talk about looking like MJ.
Yeah, he did. He did look like MJ on that, no doubt. But my thing with Toppin is he needs to play, which is good. He's playing now. He's got the energy, but I still think he would be way more effective if we run more pick and roll with him. But we don't have a point guard, really, to run pick and roll. But like Sim, if he runs pick and roll, you mean to tell me if Obi actually got real minutes in an NBA game that he can't average 15 and 10 a night?
I don't know about the 10. Definitely the 15. Okay. I'm not sure about the 10.
So what, like 15 and 7?
Yeah, probably somewhere around there. Which would be okay. It would be okay. Yeah. You just got to make sure you got some people out there. Listen, if Obi ends up being the starting power forward next season, the way that the Knicks play will just have to change, and they'll need to have another shot creator out there on the floor. You know what I'm saying? And there's nothing wrong with that.
Right. Yeah, I'll just say this. I think Obi, I think he can start, and I think he can get us the 15 and 7. I just really want a point guard. I really think it would all fit. I mean, RJ, we're asking him to do so much. The inefficiency isn't there. You get that point guard, maybe RJ's efficiency is a little better. Yeah, I still want the ball in his hands a lot, but you get the point guard, you get Toppin a little better. Yeah, you get the point guard, you get Mitch better.
Right. Here's the
I think
thing.
It all comes back to the point guard.
I mean, you get Obi better offensively. Here's the thing. Defensively, I think he's got to work on his off-ball defense.
Yeah.
When you look at this young lineup that's in the game, and they're young, so they're gonna make mistakes and stuff like that. And I'm not getting mad at that. I'm just saying we see a lot of open dunks at the basket or open layups at the basket, like where nobody's there. You know what I mean? So, and part of that is Obi just not always getting to the right rotation or anticipating the rotation sometimes. You know what I mean? And
right. He did have one, to be fair to him, he did have one really impressive block.
He did.
Like he came from the weak side. Like, I agree with you. I mean, in college, he was never known as a great defender. I mean, I remember the clips that you and Andy were going through with him. Look, I agree, Sim. He's not there defensively, but I'm just saying, I think this is why some Knicks fans have been frustrated, and I'm not saying that they needed to play him over Julius, but I think he's not where he should be. I just think the extra 5 to 10 minutes matter. Every minute matters. That's all I'm saying. Every minute matters.
I mean, it does. It does. And my argument is always going to be the same. There's part of the development is not just on the court. It's also the fight and the battle to get on the court.
True.
That's part of your development. True. The fight and the battle to get on the court and stay on the court. You know what I mean? Because, that helps you to build that respect for the game. You know what I mean? It helps you to build the work ethic to, go through that battle and get there. It means something, and people are going to disagree and say, this is professional ball. It doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? When you're talking about the development of basketball players, that's part of the development. So that battle and that fight to win your spot, I think, means something in the development of basketball players.
Do you want Obi Toppin on this basketball team?
I do, yeah.
Do you want Emmanuel Quickley on this basketball team?
I do. I got an Obi Toppin jersey.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I want both. I don't want to trade either of these two guys. I think we just got to continue to add. Just add. I know if that trade is there, sure. I don't think it's going to be there because we're going to have to give up all of them. And I'm just saying, get the point guard in the draft. Get the best point guard. It's not my job to come on here and tell you who that is. That's the front office's job. They got to get it done. But like you're saying, we need to. Obi's got to work defensively. All I hear is he has a very good work ethic. So mentally, I think he's getting better. I mean, he's learning in the classroom. Quickly, to me, we've seen down the stretch here. Quickly, even though he played bad tonight, he's improved. He's done some good things. So these are young players. They're going to fail. They're going to succeed. That's why I'm not acting crazy right now with what I'm seeing.
Right.
I'm okay.
Right. They're young players. And when you got young players, you got to live with the mistakes. You got to live with the knuckleheadedness sometimes. And I don't mean knuckleheadedness as far as like being bad people, but like knuckleheaded plays. You got to deal with all of that when you're dealing with young guys. And, that's part of the fun of being, having young guys out there too. But Spree, I appreciate your time, man.
Thanks, Sam. Be well.
Appreciate it. Ladies and gentlemen, give me a call, 516-405-2246. I want to hear your thoughts on tonight's game. I want to hear your thoughts on the players and where you think that we are with these young guys out here that's on the floor. But back to, let's go ahead and skip over to Obi. Tony, your thoughts on Obi Toppin's performance tonight?
I think he's finding his own. He's finding himself on the court. I do think the increased minutes is helping him. You see, he said it in his pregame interview, I guess, or maybe that was the postgame from the last game. But the more time he sees and the fact that he's able to play through mistakes has really helped him. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's encouraging. I think the one bad thing that stood out to me was he said he was looking forward to having the opportunity of guarding Durant. And, two pivotal moments, he left them like wide open on a help defense play and wasn't even attempting to get back. So, those two things stood out to me. I couldn't help but think, that's one of those plays that he got to play through, or two of those plays that he got to play through. He would have got pulled on one of those possessions. But offensively, I love what I'm seeing. Showing creativity, aggression. The mid-range jumper you guys spoke on was great to see. And like I said, a couple of streams ago, if he could start hitting that three consistently, I think that's really going to open up his offensive game, because now he could be a threat to pump fake, and he seems to have a lane to the basket every time, and he's showing that creativity. Yeah. If there's not a clean lane.
Yeah, 50% from the field from the three-point line tonight. Am I right? Yeah, 50%, 2 for 4, 50% from the three-point line tonight. And he's been shooting it well. The one, I'm going to tell you my favorite move, he didn't convert it. But my favorite move was when he took the dribble and he cuffed the basketball, stepped in between two defenders, and then rose up and tried to, scoop it in. A little bit more power, and it goes in. But, you're, like you said, you're seeing a little bit more creativity, and you're seeing a little bit more confidence to do things out there when he has the ball in his hands. You know what I'm saying? If he keeps that up, this is how you push people aside. You play like this, and you push people aside. You start talking about next season. If Julius Randle is still on the team, you start talking about next season. Now you're looking at okay, we got to figure out some more time for him on the floor. You know what I'm saying? How do we make that work? Because he's a positive for us out there. So I do like what I'm seeing from Obi. As a matter of fact, in the first half, he had a beautiful move in the first half. I think he pump fake from the corner. I think he had maybe LaMarcus Aldridge on him or Andre Drummond, one of the two. Pump fake from the corner, took a dribble, crossed it over to the baseline, bam, hop step, inside layup. It's a beautiful move. Beautiful move, man. So, yeah, I definitely like what I'm seeing from Obi. Looking forward to the next two games to continue to see him, continue to put it out there. You know what I mean? He adds something to the offense when you can throw him the ball up top. Like when he has somebody, when somebody is fronting him, right? So he gets positioned really deep under the basket a lot of times, and someone's fronting him, and they can throw it up, and he can just go way up and get it. I mean, that adds so much to what the Knicks can do, and that's another way of collapsing the defense, because if he has somebody on him that the opposing team knows they can't jump with Obi, They got to collapse in, then you kick it out. You know? We even seen today, it didn't work. It wasn't as successful. This is not Obi, but going to Jericho Sims. My mind just kind of switched to Jericho Sims when talking about people that can jump high. We seen RJ Barrett in the first half on 2 or 3 possessions in a row try to get Jericho Sims the ball when he had a mismatch on him. Now, the Brooklyn Nets were really clamping in to not allow it to happen, so it ended up in, I think maybe 2 turnovers. But that's okay. You know what I'm saying? Because they were attempting to go to him, and make something happen. And, I want to see that because I do feel like he has decent footwork down there. He doesn't really have an offensive game yet, but I think he has decent footwork down there. You see from time to time he'll get a rebound and he's able to step around people and get position to go back up with the basketball. But I like to see that, you know what I mean? And they're not going to the post like with Julius Randle. When they go into the post, it's usually high out in the wing area. With Sims and with Obi, it's deeper in the post. You know what I'm saying? And while it may not always be successful, as I said before, with being able to throw the ball over top with Obi, it still makes the defense collapse. Now it's up to the guard to make the right read. Do I throw it inside or do I find one of these wings that's open because they've collapsed on Obi or Jericho Sims or Mitchell Robinson, etc.? You know what I mean? So that's something that I'm looking forward to seeing over the next 2 games as well. What do you think about Jericho Sims, Tony, what you're seeing?
I agree, man. Aggression. He's finding himself. He's taking shots now, little hook shots and attempting to get some putbacks off of these rebounds. I love what I'm seeing from him as well. It's still a work in progress. I do want to say I agree with you about those 2 post pass attempts to him. The thing is, the idea was great. They were both just horrible passes. Back to back attempts to him, and I think that's another reason or another thing. Once we get that true point guard, he'll be able to make those passes correctly. You know what I mean? But I think tonight was the most I've seen us take advantage of mismatches, and the most I've seen us post up. Numerous players posting up tonight, which kudos to Tibbs for making that adjustment and attacking the mismatches.
Yeah, we did. We definitely made it a point to attack mismatches. You see Alec Burks, post up Kyrie Irving. You don't see Alec Burks post up much, but he posted up Kyrie Irving. He did get the offensive foul in the 4th quarter. Alec Burks, hurt us a little bit in the 4th quarter, and I've seen a lot of people in the chat burning him up. You know what I mean? Being mad at Alec Burks. We'll get back to that in a minute. But, the Knicks did a good job of taking advantage of mismatches, especially in the first half, even in the 3rd quarter. Finding the mismatch, taking advantage of it. You're playing against a team that, has superior talent, at least at 2 positions. So you expected that the Nets were going to make a run. There's not much you're going to be able to do, when they start to make that run besides try to continue to score the basketball. And of course, that's the Knicks' downfall. But capitalizing on mismatches in different areas of the floor. If Obi had Kyrie on him, they would try to go to him because he's got the height advantage. Jericho Sims, they tried to go to him because he had the height advantage. Even when I missed somebody, I'm not sure. But, they tried to capitalize on those mismatches, which was good. In the first half, the Knicks played a little bit more up-tempo, right? And, the question is always going to be, why didn't they continue to play that style of basketball? And that what I think people don't understand is that as the game gets tighter, defenses get tighter. It changes. It's hard to play. Very few teams can play that style throughout the game. Just keep going and going and going and going and going throughout the game. I'm not saying that it doesn't happen. Obviously, there are teams that can play that way, but very few teams play that way. It's hard because defense is locked down. They lock in. They grab. They pull. They push. The referees let more go because they don't want to be the deciding factor of the game. They want the players to decide the game, so they let things go a little bit more. Players are like, oh, man, let me make sure I'm getting back on defense. You seen in the first half, the Knicks were able to get out, get the ball up the floor and attack. In the second half, it wasn't as much. You know what I'm saying? First of all, in order to attack in that manner, the opposing team needs to miss shots, right? So you can get the rebound and get up the floor. If that doesn't happen, then here you go. You're not pushing the ball up the floor now. Now you're walking or jogging it up the floor. You know what I'm saying? You can still try to go a little bit faster in that half-court set. But again, it gets tougher, it gets tighter, when defenses start to clamp down. You know what I mean? And switches up a little bit. And then the Brooklyn Nets, they went small, which helped them out a little bit because now you had big guys like, you had to deal with, you had big guys guarding somebody smaller than them. You know what I mean? Because they went small. So it made it a little bit difficult. Good coaching by Steve Nash. You know what I'm saying? You were going to say something, Tone?
Yeah. Another thing that stood out was, especially in the second half, shout out to the Queen because she's always talking about the defensive rebounds, man. We played some great defense and just couldn't get a rebound.
Yeah.
And then ended in 3-point shots. Excuse me, I got hiccups. But that killed us tonight in the second half.
Yeah, no doubt. You gotta get those defensive rebounds, man. If you don't get those defensive rebounds, you're gonna be in trouble. You'll give a team. I mean, I tell my players all the time. You know what I mean? You can play great defense, force a team to miss a shot. They get the rebound and put it back in. They still shot 50%, and that's good. You know what I mean? They still shot 50% on that possession. You got to get those defensive rebounds, and you got to be aware when there's being long shots taken, there's going to be long rebounds, right? A lot of times that's going to result in a long rebound, and you got to be ready to capitalize on those long rebounds. I didn't feel like in the fourth quarter they were always ready to capitalize on the long rebound. Now, of course, you're playing against a superior, a team with superior talent. So when their juices step up, see, this is what happens with superior talent, right? A team like the Knicks, they got some guys across the board that can play the basketball game, but they got to play at a very high level to compete. And it's hard to, for RJ and Obi and those guys, at least right now, to play at that level throughout the game. Where when you got guys like KD and Kyrie, they can kind of cruise a little bit and play at your level while you're playing your hardest, and then all of a sudden they can step it up. You know what I'm saying? And step it up defensively, step it up offensively, and start to make plays. And then their basketball IQ also comes out where they can make plays where, you might falter a little bit. That's what it's about. That's why the Knicks are a young team. We got young guys out there. Now, but let's talk about Alec Burks, right? Because I've seen a lot of people in the chat upset with Alec Burks, upset with Tom Thibodeau because Alec Burks is still in the game. You feel the same way, Tony? Got yourself muted.
18 points in the first half. Like, you know what I mean? He pretty much kept us or gave us that lead. Now, did he make some mistakes down the stretch? Yeah. But I'm not mad at it. I mean, but you did make a good point in the text message. He could have gave Fournier a look down the stretch.
Yep, I thought he should have. To help open that floor.
Would that have been at Burks' expense or someone else?
Burks or Quickly, either one. Just to try to open up that floor a little bit. And Evan Fournier wasn't killing the entire game. He played decent in the first half, but that kind of look I thought could have opened up the floor a little bit. He was 3 for 9, in the first half from the field, or 3 for 9 from the field overall. He was 2 for 7 from the 3-point line. But I still felt like, just throwing him out there a little bit could maybe open up the floor, give a different look, even if you want to do offensive, defensive substitutions. You know what I mean? Because nobody in that fourth quarter was really scoring. Emmanuel Quickly was 1 for 8 for the night. You know what I'm saying? He was 1 for 8 for the night. He was 1 for 6 from the 3-point line. And, Evan Fournier wasn't playing terrible defense. You know what I mean? I felt like yeah,
he probably had a matchup that wasn't disfavored for him.
Yeah, right. So yeah, I definitely think that Evan Fournier could have got some minutes in the fourth quarter, and it could have been at Burks' expense. I see, people are mad. Oh, playing Burks point guard got to stop. But I mean, look, for the most part, he was playing good tonight. He struggled in the fourth quarter, made some mistakes in the fourth quarter. Emmanuel Quickly wasn't playing good. He wasn't having a great game. He did some things okay, floor-wise. An okay floor game, I guess. It's the way the game goes sometimes, man. It's the way the game goes sometimes. And I'm not saying Alec Burks didn't make some mistakes down the stretch, because he did. There's no doubt about it. I guess people wanted Deuce to be in there. That's what I'm taking from that. Big shout out to Nikki B from Harlem. He said, tonight showed that talent wins games, and the Knicks have a lot of work to do on our roster. We need serious shooting, playmaking, and rebounding help. Nikki B, I agree with you, man. Definitely shooting in that fourth quarter. In the fourth quarter, ladies and gentlemen, the New York Knicks in the fourth quarter were 4 for 15 from the field. I mean, they only got up 15 shots in the fourth quarter, and the Brooklyn Nets got up 24 shots in the fourth quarter. Right? The Knicks were 1 for 5 from the 3-point line in the fourth quarter. They were 7 for 11 from the free throw line in the fourth quarter.
What was the rebounds?
Rebounds in the fourth quarter. The Knicks had 6 rebounds in the fourth quarter. The Nets had 13. The Knicks only had 4 defensive rebounds in the fourth quarter. The Nets had 9 offensive rebounds in the fourth quarter, and they had 4 The Nets had 9 defensive rebounds in the fourth quarter, and they had 4 offensive rebounds, which ties the Knicks' number of defensive rebounds in the fourth quarter.
There you go. That's the game right there.
Yep. 11 assists for the Nets in the fourth quarter, only 1 for the Knicks. Yep, there you go. 4 turnovers for the Knicks in that fourth quarter. They only scored 16 points. The Nets scored 38 points in the fourth quarter. 38 points in the fourth quarter. The Knicks, 15 points in this third quarter. The Nets scored 22. So the Nets outscored the Knicks in the third quarter, 22-15. And then they outscored them in the fourth quarter, 38-16. So the Knicks only scored 31 points in the second half of the game. So by comparison, in the first half of the game, the Knicks shot 48% from the field. They shot 42% from 3. They were still only 58.8% from the free throw line. They had 27 rebounds. They had 19 assists in the first half, the Knicks did. 4 steals, 3 blocks, only 3 turnovers in the first half. The Brooklyn Nets, they shot 41% from the field. They shot 27.8% from 3. Right? And they only had 12 assists in the first half. Well, I don't want to say only. They had 12 assists in the first half. Now, let's go to the second half of the game. In the second half of the game, the Nets shot 46.8% from the field. They shot 39% from 3. They had 16 assists. They had 28 rebounds. 6 turnovers in the second half for the Nets. For the Knicks, they shot 25.7% from the field, 16.7% from 3, only 15 rebounds and only 3 assists in the second half. And they had 8 turnovers in the second half. So the game totally flipped.
We almost had our season average in assists in the first half and then we get 1 over our season average to end the game.
Right.
How about that?
Right. Yeah. Yep, that kind of game for the Knicks, ladies and gentlemen, tonight. At least the second half is that kind of game. The first half was great. Second half, not so great. And you see the team comparison on your screen right now. Of course, the New York Knicks lose 110-98 to the Brooklyn Nets. They were up 21 points. If you're just joining us and you didn't get a chance to see the game and you're listening in to find out what happened, the Knicks were up 21 points. They had a 21-point lead. They end up losing the game by 12. The Brooklyn Nets, 49 rebounds to the Knicks, 42. That was one of our keys to the game, that the Knicks needed to win the rebounding battle, win inside the paint, and they did not do that tonight. At least on the boards, they didn't. 28 assists for the Nets, 22 for the Knicks. 7 steals, 7 blocks for the Nets. 4 steals and 7 blocks for the Knicks. Nets, 13 turnovers. The Knicks, only 11 turnovers, but 8 of those turnovers came in the second half, and a high number of those turnovers came in the fourth quarter. The Nets end up shooting 44% from the field and 34% from 3 and 77.8% from the free throw line. The Knicks, 38% from the field, 34% from 3, and 58.3% from the free throw line. They missed 15 free throws tonight. The Knicks win the battle, points in the paint. The Knicks win the points in the paint, 36-32. Second chance points, the Nets, 15. The Knicks, 12. Fast break points, Brooklyn, 12. And the Knicks, only 6 fast break points tonight. Yeah. That's your story of the game, ladies and gentlemen. Story of the game. Uncle Fulio, thank you for the super chat. He said, IQ picked up his dribble a lot in the second half. Not good for a point guard. He needs to improve on that when the game gets tight. He will be better. When you're not feeling confident about your game, Uncle Fulio, if you're not feeling confident, you will pick up the basketball if you're not feeling confident. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't want to turn it over. So you'll be like, and you'll pick the ball up. It happens like that. But, listen, he's young. He's trying to figure out his game. He's learning his basketball game. I think that, and maybe he was star-studded. Maybe he was starstruck out there with KD and Kyrie out there on the floor. Not that he hasn't played against, everyone in the NBA, but he hasn't played with those two on the floor yet together. I don't think. At least not at the Garden. I don't know. In Brooklyn, were Kyrie and KD playing together in Brooklyn last season with IQ out there? So maybe, but maybe just knowing that he had a bigger role tonight, maybe he was a little bit starstruck, so he picked up the ball. Or if you're not feeling comfortable, you don't want to turn the ball over, you do that. You pick it up so you can pass it off.
And Kyrie was taking out his aggression on IQ because he was getting abused by Burks.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's true. You know what I mean? So, but definitely that's something that you can't do, right? You can't pick up your dribble. You got to keep your dribble. If you're, especially being a point guard, you got to keep your dribble. He'll get better. He'll figure it out and he'll get better. Any thoughts about IQ tonight, Tone?
I just thought he was off his game. As much as I could tell you this, he was itching to shoot. Like, it was a few times he didn't take the shot, but if you was really watching him, like, he wanted to take the shot. So he turned down a lot of bad shots today. And who's to say maybe one or two of those bad shots would have went in, because he tends to hit some of those as well. But he was tentative. You know what I mean? I'll say that. He was tentative today. He, not only with the dribbling, but even in his shot, he seemed to have lacked confidence tonight.
Yeah,
and he'll bounce back.
Yeah, I'm gonna point at, I'm just gonna point at being maybe just a little bit nervous out there playing with KD and Kyrie. You know what I mean? That happens sometimes. Young guy, that happens sometimes. He might have been a little bit tentative out there. I'm pretty sure he'll bounce back and, have a good game, when he does bounce back. Let me ask you this. Jericho Sims, we touched on him a little bit earlier. How much pressure do you think he's putting on the front office and on Mitch and all of that?
I think that it eases if they lose him for nothing. I think it kind of eases it, but I don't think they're ready to call him a flat out replacement. You know what I mean? Like I think if they had their choice, especially at the same price or whatever the case, they would rock with Mitch. But I think it's kind of like easing the pain, if you will, if they lose Mitch. But even still, no matter what, I think you guys were right, and we need a different dynamic at that position as well. We need some type of shooting there, and but yeah, I think it eases the pain if they lose him, but I don't think they're like letting him go. You know what I mean? I think they're still trying to work things out.
Okay. Okay. So you're saying it eases the pain. Do you think anywhere in the front office, anyone is like, you know what? We could just rock with Sims and, use that money elsewhere. Do you think? Or are they still just sold on like, nah, we want Mitch, and we'll have Mitch and Sims as a strong starting backup center duo, and then move on from Nerlens Noel.
Here's the thing, I think I'll say this again: if they're thinking sign and trade, then yes, you know what I mean. But because otherwise they can't really use the money elsewhere. You know what I mean? If they lose them for nothing, and that's not money that they're saving or money that they could actually use elsewhere. The only way to use it elsewhere is in a sign and trade. So if that's what they're looking, that makes sense to me. Using Mitch in a sign and trade and saying Sims is a valuable. I don't even know if he would say backup, because I don't know if they would start Sims next year. But I think it's, you know what I mean, now we still have a piece in development. So I think that makes sense. Like if they're gonna do a sign and trade for Mitch and get something back, and maybe that's in a position of value, a different position of value, I don't think they do a sign and trade and bring in another center. You know what I mean? It's gonna be probably a point guard, in my opinion. So if they're doing that, I think that makes the most sense, and I could see them planning like that ahead.
Yeah. I see Mike Morgan. He said that's what I'm thinking. Mitch and Sims. My fear with Mitch and Sims is just the shooting, man. You know what I mean? The shooting. That's my biggest fear. The shooting. I mean, do you have any worries about that, Tony? And I mean, I still feel like we need that 5 that can shoot the basketball. That's why I feel like there's only room for one center that is a rim runner, and then you got to have shooters. That's just the way the league is today.
Well, I think you could go the other way. I think you could have 2 rim runners and a shooter. As long as you have the shooter in there, I think you're okay. If Taj was 10 years younger, I think we'd be set.
Right.
You know what I mean? Especially with his development at that 3-point shot as of late. You know what I mean?
But is there enough room to have? Is there enough room to have a shooter? Who is getting the minutes, I guess, right? Because if you have 2 rim runners and then a shooter, right? Are you sitting the shooter down?
All right.
If it's not good enough, or are you going ahead and you're saying, all right, Sims is going to take a back seat and we're going to have the shooter as our.
I don't think this is possible, but if let's say the rotation was Miles Turner, Mitch, and Sims, I think Sims would be on the outside as that reserved, when somebody's out, get a shot type guy, because of how good a guy like Miles Turner is defensively and at stretching the floor. Now, if we have a guy who just stretches the floor and doesn't play defense, that might switch it. That might make him the third guy in the three centers. So it really depends on what that shooting center brings. If it's just shooting, I think he becomes a situational guy. I don't think he becomes a starter. I don't think he becomes like a definitive backup. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because Sims is showing a lot of progress defensively as well. So you know what I mean? If he figures that out, then Mitch becomes expendable. You know what I mean? A little bit more expendable.
Yeah, I just feel like we need that guy that can spread the floor out, especially when we play, these centers that are really defensive and they can block shots, et cetera, et cetera. We need someone who can help get them out the paint.
And me personally, I feel like the front office is more likely to grab a shooting big in this draft than a point guard and expect that point guard to come in and, you know what I mean, start or even get minutes in the beginning of the season. Right. I think at that point, any rookie point guard we get, Deuce is going to be ahead of him in the pecking order.
Yeah. Okay. Big shout out to Uncle Fulio. Thank you for the super chat. He said Sims needs to work on holding the ball and his head higher. It will make going up so much easier, but he's so strong sometimes it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, I get what you're saying. You know what I mean? If you got the ball down low, there's a chance that someone small is going to get down there and swipe at it, right? And take it. And that's all him working on his offensive game, learning how to score in traffic in the NBA. It takes work. And soon there's going to be, these guys are going to have, I'm sure they're all going to have an off-season plan. I think they were talking in the telecast. I love when Hubie Brown does the Knicks. I like Hubie Brown, man. He's objective. He knows what he's talking about. You know what I'm saying? I like Hubie Brown. But they were talking a little bit about what RJ wants to work on in the offseason. All of these guys are going to have off-season developmental plans, and we'll see what they look like coming back. You know what I mean? Like RJ wants to work on getting into the lane and kicking it out, accurately, continuing to work on his three-point shot. He said RJ, needs to work on his free throws. If RJ is going to be, a primary scorer and get to the line however many times, he needs to work on his free throws, which I agree, 100%. You know what I mean? If, he's shooting, 72%, I think he said, from the free throw line. And if you're going to be getting to the line 8-9 times a game, you gotta start to make some of those things. What do you think? And we're gonna be doing our, we got a whole bunch of different series lined up for you as soon as the off season hits, ladies and gentlemen. We'll do a season wrap up. Then we're gonna look at keep them or dump them. Who we keeping, who we dumping, and then we're gonna look at some players and talk about how can they develop. And so we'll have some separate shows on players. And, of course, we'll be getting into the draft and all that kind of stuff. But, just really quick, Tone. We'll start with Sims, since we were talking about Sims. And then we'll move on and we'll get to RJ and some other people. But what do you want to see Sims work on in the offseason?
To be honest, the same thing that people have been crying for Mitch to work on. And that's just a go-to move, preferably something like a jump hook. But, just have one go-to move that when you get the ball in this position, or if you get the rebound in this position, you could go to this move. Start small, you know what I mean? Baby steps. I think his rebounding is pretty good. His effort is pretty good. I don't know how you work on defense in the offseason other than, just playing a lot of pickup or like maybe one-on-one drills. But the defense, work however you work on defense and just one offensive move, because I think that's another spot that he could kind of get a head start in where Mitch is today after 4 years and him this being his first year.
Yeah, I think working on defense is, obviously you're always working on your footwork. You're going to build your strength, but you're also going to try to put in some drills that replicate, some of the things that you do defensively, whatever your schemes are defensively, where these rotations coming from. So you look at some film and then you get out there on the court and you have, a group of people that can, maybe run some plays so that you know how to double, where to double, when to double. You know what I'm saying? And run through some scenarios so that you understand, how to make those double teams and how to defend a screen and roll. Like, that's a big one, defending the screen and roll. How do we defend it? Getting better defensively also includes working with your teammates, right? Because so much of defense is not just individual. It's a team thing. So if you're talking about a screen and roll, you need to work with RJ or Quickly or whoever so that you understand when are we gonna switch? Who's gonna yell out, to switch? Is it gonna be this the person defending the screener that's gonna say switch? Right? What is your strategy when it comes to that? Like, all of those little things need to be worked out when you're working on defense.
1,000 free throws a day, all summer. Easy. Mm-hmm. And my question to you is, and maybe we could do this. We don't gotta go through everybody right now, but we'll start with Sims. If there's one guy that you want him to watch tape on all year to kind of maybe model his game or pick something up from, who would you give him the tape on and say, here, study some of this, study some of that?
You speaking offensively or defensively?
Either one.
It's a good question. I have to think about it.
Off the top of my head, without giving it much thought, I would say Ben Wallace.
Okay, all right, that's a good one. You know what I mean? Like, as far as rebounding and defensively,
and kind of limited offensively, but came along and never was really the liability.
Right.
You know what I mean? So and the strength. So I start right there.
And I would look at someone like DeAndre Jordan too, because he came into the league without having an offensive game, and then he became a guy that you could throw the ball to in the post. He never really developed a 3-point shoot. He never developed a shot, but he became a guy that you could throw the ball to in the post, and he could get you a bucket from time to time.
That's a good one.
Yeah, so I'd have him look at somebody like that.
We got two guys we could go look at. You know what I mean?
I seen someone say, having worked with Akeem Olajuwon over the summer, I'm not sure you're getting that kind of game from Jericho Sims.
His footwork is good, but it's kind of blocky.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if you're getting that. I don't know if you're getting that from Jericho Sims if he works with Akeem Olajuwon. Let's hear from Tom Thibodeau, ladies and gentlemen, after this game. See what he's thinking. It's Tom Thibodeau.
You had a 2-point lead with 5 minutes to go in this one and then struggled to score down the stretch. What was the issue there?
Well, I thought, we were attacking, and you got to give them credit for their defense. And, we got to make plays. So the last 4 or 5 minutes are going to be different intensity-wise. And, they came down, they made, we didn't.
Kevin Durant, 13, 9, and 6 in the fourth quarter alone. I mean, obviously we all know he's one of the best players in this league, but what is it about him that's so tough in those late minutes?
Well, everything. It's, it's hard to get him to speed up, and he's patient, he reads defenses extremely well. He and Kyrie play extremely well off each other, which puts a lot of pressure on you. So you're going to have to make a second, third, fourth effort. And, and sometimes you can guard them great and they still have the ability to make or also create. high percentage offense for him. So, and I thought, the first half we did a lot of good things to build the lead. We didn't close the third quarter well, and then the start of the fourth we struggled, and we got ourselves, going okay, and then we didn't close the game, and you got to play 48 minutes against them.
Jericho Sims, without Mitch tonight, terrific job, first career double-double. What did you see from him tonight?
Yeah, just, and he played well against these guys the last time. So it's just because you're going to have to do more than one thing, his ability to, blitz a pick and roll or to hit, to get the ball out of their hands and get back to the basket, get back out, then offensively putting pressure on the rim, that's huge. And the rebounding was critical. We gave up we had a couple of situations in which we were pretty good defensively, and got them to take tough shots. And then a couple times we ran in and the ball went over our heads, and we can't do that.
Jericho had a play tonight where he went up verticality on Drummond, forced the miss, verticality on KD, forced the miss, got the rebound. Was he capable of that earlier this year?
He's gotten a lot better at it, yeah. So he's got great feet, he's got strength, the athleticism is terrific. We still haven't seen, the playmaking that in the paint that he has. But as time goes on, I think we'll see that he's a very good playmaker in the paint, and so we see it oftentimes where he'll kick out and he'll find an open guy, but he's comfortable with that. We had once, like they stripped us 3 or 4 times in the last couple of minutes. Some of those, I want to look at the film. You're going to get hit, but you're not going to get those calls. You got to understand the intensity at that point of the game is different. So you got to make sure that you get off the ball. Don't fight pressure with pressure. So if they collapse, boom, spray, hit the open man. And that's when we got on the run in the first half. Is we didn't hesitate with kicking the ball out, and they're gonna switch, and when they switch, you got to cut, and when you cut, then you got to make a play, spray.
Tony, any thoughts about what you heard from Tom Thibodeau?
Somewhat repetitive. It's kind of the same spiel we get.
We always get the same spiel.
I feel like we could give the Tom Thibodeau press conference every night.
We probably can. No doubt about it.
But I like the encouragement, the good words on Sims. I would have liked to hear him speak on Obi a little bit. Mm-hmm. I think Obi showed a lot more tonight, even though he didn't reach that career high again. But he did some new things on the floor tonight.
Yeah, I thought he was getting his career high tonight too. I thought he was.
They made a conscious effort to look for him when they decided to put a small guy on him, and I like to see that.
Yeah. Shout out to AZ Cards, Phoenix Suns. He said Tibbs needs to give his Coach of the Year award back to his rightful owner, Monty Williams. Tibbs also needs to apologize for acting like he won it legit. Okay. I mean, no diss towards Monty Williams. He's a great coach.
Maybe he'll get it this year.
Tibbs did a good job last year. You know what I mean? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? He did a good job last year. I put in the chat, ladies and gentlemen, I put a poll in the chat. I'm just trying to get a sense of how many people are interested in attending the draft party that we're going to have going on in June 23rd. We're going to have a draft party on June 23rd. Right now I see about 24 votes. 42% of the people say yes, they'd like to go. About 17% said no. 42% said maybe. So let me know what you're thinking. You know what I'm saying? If you'd be interested to go. It's it was dope last year. We had a good number of people there. We had a fun time. We're planning on having a basketball game and doing some other things.
Make sure you say second annual.
Second annual. Yeah. The second annual, because we're doing it every year at the flagship resort in Atlantic City. We're doing it every year. You know what I mean? It's going to be dope. It's going to be fun. Like I said, we're going to have a basketball game, maybe be able to set up some other activities. We're also going to set up a free agent party, you know what I mean, for the opening night of free agency. So, you know, we got a couple of things we're going to set up. We want to get people to come out, join us, participate, have a good time, all of that. When I do the shoot around tomorrow, I'm going to have just a little sign-up sheet that I'm going to put out for people, you know, so you can jot down your information. I'll put the link in the chat. You can jot down your information so we can make sure we get it to you guys. Obviously, if you're a member, we're going to get it to you first to sign up, and then we're going to get to the people that's on that list. All right, so we can, you know, we're trying to pack it out, have a good time, enjoy ourselves, you know, make a weekend of it, all that kind of stuff. So just be on the lookout. Again, tomorrow during the shoot around, I'm going to put a link out there for people who, you know, want to sign up. All right. And then we'll have all the sign up information out next week. So go ahead. Just let me get an idea in the chat what you guys are thinking about. Tony, any other thoughts about tonight? I do want to hear from Obi Toppin and RJ Barrett. You know, I'm just waiting for those to come on up. But any other thoughts about tonight and what you're seeing out there on the floor?
I mean, I like what I saw through 3 quarters. It's, you know, it's tough, man, because I thought we was gonna pull this one out. I was looking forward to the chat, you know, giving Randall hell because they beat the Nets without him and all that talk. But, you know, it ended up being same result, you know, even without him. So ultimately, man, I mean, we still got a long way to go as far as the growth, but encouraging to see individual growth from, you know, Sims, Obi, RJ continuing his stretch. Obviously, IQ didn't come through down the stretch tonight or tonight at all. But Burks, you know, really, I don't think he gets enough props for just being a true professional, stepping in and playing a role, whatever role is asked of him, no complaining, you know what I mean, and just giving it his all. So
yeah, and I think most of the complaints from the fans are not Burks per se, but Tom Thibodeau playing him out of position, you know. So I don't think some people, some knuckleheads out there have anger towards Burks, but I think most people are directing it towards Tom Thibodeau. What do you think what's his future with the Knicks?
I mean, I don't know if his future is with the Knicks per se, but I will say this. I think teams are looking at his value a lot higher than maybe some Knicks fans would even credit his value. You know what I mean? The fact that he's just a coachable guy, a guy that's going to fill a role, he's going to fill in a role, you know what I mean? And believe it or not, I think he's having one of his better years for his career. I think I heard someone say that today. I have to look it up, but I don't know if his future is with the Knicks long term, but I do think his value is increased throughout the league. So like we may be able to actually get something of value for him on a individual trade, not necessarily part of a package. Yeah. I think he has more value by himself than in the package.
Okay.
I think in the package we kind of lose some of his value.
Okay. All right. Let me get to this phone call. Caller, you live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Uncle Breeze, Shal in Staten Island, New York.
What's going on with you, man? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling good, my brother. I was just listening to the topic about Burks.
Uh-huh.
I was just listening to the conversation about Burks.
Yeah.
I'm going to add a little something to you guys. It's going to be a little twist.
Okay.
You know, I believe there is 2 veterans we should probably keep on this team that will really work out with these rookies. And you know who I think they are?
Who's that?
I would say Burks and Fournier, believe it or not. At this point, I'm looking at Rose as much as we love him to death. He stayed hurt too much. I don't think it'll really work out. I believe if you can get rid of Rose and all the other veterans and do the best you can do to try and get there's a point guard, I'm sorry, I'm trying to think of his name. He's from the Cleveland. What's his name? I'm trying to think of his name.
Colin Sexton.
The one that was just injured.
Colin Sexton, yeah.
He's fast. He scores threes. He's better than Dallas's point guard. Trust me, I believe when I tell you this. This guy can make a big difference for the team and get rid of, like I said, Burks, you got to put him back in his wing position. You got to go back off the bench. He can help us. He's really a fourth court. You need him there. I know he's out of position, but he's a good player. He can help. You can see it. He's capable of still being effective as a I don't think we should get rid of him nor Fournier. Fournier is our best three-point shooter, as you can tell. He ain't just break that record. He just needs to have pieces around him with a true point guard, and it'll work out.
Yeah, you see, I think Burks is best. Right now he's 35 to 40 minutes a game. I think you get the best from Burks when he's playing 25, 26 minutes. You know what I'm saying? I think that's probably where you're going to get the best bang for your buck with Alec Burks. You know what I mean? Because sooner or later, I mean, listen, he's a guy he's an inconsistent player, right? And you're not going to get 35, 40 minutes of him scoring at the clip that he was scoring tonight.
Yeah.
At some point, he's going to fall off. But I think you can get 25 strong minutes of him, being a really effective scorer when he's out there on the floor. And I think that's one of the issues with this team right now. We have a bunch of players who, after so many minutes, give you negative returns.
Yeah, get worn now. Yeah, well, we got to admit, that's the coach. I know we kind of short-staffed it.
Yeah, so, I mean, but hey, Burks, Evan Fournier, I do want Evan Fournier to stay.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because of the way
he's our best three-point shooter. Trust me, he really is. I didn't realize that, so I really started noticing this guy can really put those balls in the basket.
Yeah, he can shoot.
I know his defense is not good. You just got to put him together, that fast, young team, let him go off the bench maybe, or maybe even let him start sometimes. But I think we should keep him. I think he's our best three-point shooter. Honest to God, he really is. He truly is. Yeah. I can't even deny it no more. He really is. Yeah, we need him. Since you're going to be jacking up threes, he's reliable.
And it's not just because Alec Burks, he shoots 40% from the three as well. But the way in which Fournier shoots the three, for me, it's like a quick trigger. And I think that's so effective in today's NBA. You remember when we played the Hawks? Those guys, as soon as the ball touched their fingertips, it was up. Whop, whop, whop. That's kind of the way Fournier can shoot the ball, and we need shooters like that, snipers like that.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
Facts. That's a fact.
No doubt. Hey, my man, I appreciate you. Thank you for calling in.
Brother, man.
All right, have a good one, man. Be easy.
You got it, family. Talk to you guys soon.
Peace. Peace. Let me get to another caller here. Caller, you're live. Tell me your name and where you're from, please.
Yo, what's up, son? This is T from Tampa, by the way of Tampa, Florida.
What's going on, bro? How you feeling, man?
I'm feeling pretty good, man. And I was just calling in and had a few things to say about the Knicks.
All right.
With Burks, man, I think just like you've been saying, Burks need to be coming off the bench. I think we should keep him. But I wanted to talk a little bit about the point guard situation.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people is sleeping on Colin Sexton, man. I've been watching him ever since he was in high school in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's built for New York, man. I think that's the best point guard that we can get out of the other two, from the dude in Dallas and the other guy from Indiana. I think Colin Sexton will change this whole team, even with keeping Randall there. He'd take a lot of pressure off of everybody. What do you think about that?
Let me ask you this. Are you concerned at all about his injury?
Yeah, what type of injury did he have?
I'm not exactly sure. I'm not exactly sure what it was. Tony, do you know? I can look it up really quick, but
no, my only thing with him is, are we getting him on a discount because of the injury? I'll take a flyer on him, even though we have bad luck with players coming off of or recovering from or coming back from injuries.
He had a torn meniscus. Torn meniscus.
So what do you think, son?
I mean, I think he can come back full strength over, from a torn meniscus. He's gonna have times when he's out because it's flaring up and it's kind of sore. He may have to get it cleaned or things like that. But I think you can come back from a torn meniscus strong. Just as strong as you were. He should be good. Should be good.
So what do you think about picking him up, though?
Listen, at the beginning of this year, the end of last year, beginning of this year, whatever, I was all for it, especially with his contract. I mean, the guy dropped 20 points a game. He made $6 million this season. I was all for it. After I seen us play this year, I feel like we need, and it doesn't have to come from the point guard spot. It could be anywhere on the floor, but I feel like we need a floor general out there. So if you get Colin Sexton, I still feel like we're going to be missing that leadership, that floor leadership, the guy that can really make the decisions out there on the floor. I still feel like we might be missing that in Colin Sexton.
Is it his basketball IQ you're concerned with? Because as far as taking the lead, he's gonna do that. I can guarantee you that.
Yeah,
that's his MO. Like, he wants the ball. He wants. He wants to take over. He wants. So, right. If you're talking about decision making and like basketball IQ,
that's what I'm talking about. Decision making. I know he's gonna take over. I'm talking about decision making. That kind of leadership. You know what I mean? Who gets the ball when? Why are you giving the ball to this guy at this time? You know what I mean? Figuring out who needs to get the ball in tight situations, like that kind of decision making. It doesn't have to come from the point guard spot.
Right.
Right? It can come from anywhere.
I really do think he has all of that. I think he's the type of point guard that Tibbs would like, man, because besides the decision making, we definitely need that, but we need somebody that can really get into that paint, man, like at will.
True. I agree. Agree. That can really break down the defense hard.
I just think out of those 3-point guys, out of the guard from, like I was saying, from Dallas and the one from Indianapolis, I just think Colin would change our whole team. And I don't think we'll need anything else if we keep Randall and keep the team that we have together, and you put a player like Colin Sexton on this team, this is a whole different ball team. This is a dangerous team.
Okay. I can't argue with you. I don't, it could be. I mean, you definitely have a lot of weapons out there. I'd still be concerned about decision making though. That'd be my biggest concern.
And he don't back down to nobody.
He don't. He's a tough customer. He's a tough customer, but that would still be my concern, the decision making. Yeah.
And he's the type of player. One more thing, Sam. I think he's the type of player that we need, that he's not going to bow down and to Randall. He can run a team. He's been doing it all his life, Sam. It's not like you've got a 2-guard that's trying to adjust to be a point guard. He's been a point guard all his life, so he has that mentality to be able to put people in position and dish that ball off at the right time. He has it.
Right.
And you could argue, minus this year, he didn't really play this year, but you could argue on this Knicks team, this might be the most talented team he's played. It might be the most talented group of players he's played with. So he may not.
That's why
he may defer more as far as facilitating and be more of that
exactly
2-point guard.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking.
But I would probably, if we're talking about a point guard coming off the injury,
Mm-hmm.
See, you made a good point because I like Rubio too, and I think he's more of what we would need. But I feel like Colin, like you said, Colin is not gonna take the back seat. You know what I mean? Where Rubio, he may not even play to his full potential if he's deferring. He's gonna defer naturally, but you gotta let him do it naturally. You know what I mean?
Right.
Where Colin,
And
he's
one
not
more
gonna.
thing. One thing about Colin too, man, because like when he was in high school in Georgia, right? Like they packed the high school games. All them stars came out to see him. You know, that whole gym them gyms used to be sold out, packed, and I'm talking about he used to always rise to the occasion, you know, so I don't think New York will run him away or make him just go into a shell. I think he's built for New York. I think that's the best guard out there for us, man.
Okay.
That's just my opinion, but thanks, Sim, for giving me this time, man.
No doubt, man.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate you, bro. Have a good one.
All right.
Somebody just in the chat just said something interesting. I want to get your thoughts on it. 1975 Jamrock said, looks like Cleveland made an addition by subtracting Colin Sexton. You agree with that, Tony?
I could say unintentionally.
Okay.
And sometimes that happens. Sometimes a guy, you know, is out because of injury and the whole team clicks. Or I mean, at this point, I think it's true, but I think it's unintentionally, and it's not a knock on Colin. You know what I mean? It's not like it was one less mouth to feed. You know what I mean? And then everybody else, more so Garland, just fell into his role, his natural role. You know what I mean? Because I think they was running Garland at the 2 prior to, right? Because of his shooting.
Right. I got you. So Colin Sexton made $6.3 million this season. And for next year, there's a qualifying offer for Colin Sexton at $8.5 million. So we'll see if Cleveland makes the qualifying offer. And if they do make the qualifying offer, then it's up to Colin Sexton, which I think they will anyway, right? Because
they have to, because that's not a lot of money. And he's going to decline that.
Right.
And you could give him a $10 million contract on a prove it type thing. You know what I mean? Like, well, obviously, it would have to be a sign and trade.
Well, see, what would happen is if he declined it, then he would be a restricted free agent.
Oh, restricted. Okay.
He becomes unrestricted. If they do not offer it to him, I believe he becomes unrestricted. Or if he accepts the qualifying offer, he plays under it next year, and then the following year he becomes unrestricted. So he would decline it. Then he'd go out and get an offer, and then the Cleveland Cavaliers could match it. Now, even if they don't want to bring Colin Sexton back,
they can use that as a sign and trade.
Exactly. To get something back for him.
And that's where, you know, all three teams or both teams and he or his agent would have to negotiate something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because obviously he got to agree to a contract.
Right.
So, I mean, it's a chance where we could get him at a reasonable price.
There's a chance.
Where it's a prove it year type situation. Yeah. You know what I mean? Maybe third year not guaranteed or whatever the case, or prove it 2 years. And we get from underneath one of these contracts, you know what I mean? Like that, because I think the salaries will still have to match. So, I mean, it's interesting.
It's interesting that, you know, there's a chance, but we're going to have a lot of time during the offseason to talk about it, ladies and gentlemen. A lot of time to talk about it.
Would you do it for Burks straight up?
Would I? Yeah, I would. I still don't think it gives us everything we need, though. That's my only reservation. I just don't like at the beginning of this year. I would have had no reservations at all. I still don't think it gives us everything we need. That's my only issue, because that leadership part is such a big hole for us. It's such a big hole. You know what I mean? Yeah, 1975 Jam Rock said, what or who would you be willing to give up for DeJounte Murray? I don't think he's going to be available. I don't think San Antonio's giving up DeJounte Murray, you know. But
3 picks?
I'd give up some picks for that man. Obviously, you're going to be giving up some of your veterans or whatever, but I'd give up some picks for him.
2 first, 2 second? Is that too much?
I mean, I'd easily give up this year's first round pick for him. You know, and we got a whole bunch of picks in 2023, second round picks in 2023. I give them as many as they want. You know what I'm saying? But that's probably too little for them. You know, they're gonna want a player. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, because he can ball, so they're gonna want a player, a young player, draft picks. And I don't know. I'd have to think about it and see how much money he made and look at all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? But, yeah, he's definitely the kind of guard I think we need, though. He's definitely the kind of guard I think we need. Ladies and gentlemen, remember, I got this poll out here in the chat. I'd like to get your thoughts and ideas on how many people are interested in attending the draft party in Atlantic City on June 23rd. Remember, tomorrow I'm going to be putting out a link for you to, just sign up with your contact information. So when everything's ready, I can reach out to you and, we can start getting this thing down. We're going to have a good time down there, man. Of course, we're doing a live podcast. We'll be watching the draft doing a live podcast. We'll have a basketball game. We'll just be having a good time. It's going to be dope.
Might have the rematch live.
We might. You never know. We might, but it's definitely going to be dope. It's going to be fun. And remember that free agent party is going to be coming up. I got to find out exactly when free agency begins, but for that night, we're trying to organize a free agency party that night. You know what I mean? Because normally at midnight, that's when things start to kick off. But Tony, I'm going to get up out of here. Any last words before we jump ship, man?
Nah, man. Shout out to the chat, man. I'm glad I made it on this week. Well, today, I had to take a couple days off, but I should be good moving forward. Shout out to the chat. Your Blackest Time.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Let me see. Do I see any? Oh no, I thought I was looking for some key dates. I don't see any key dates for. I don't see any key dates yet. I just know the draft party. It's June 23rd. So anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time. Be peaceful, be easy. I'll see you on the shoot around tomorrow, probably about, I don't know what time yet. I got to figure it out. I'm not sure. You know what I mean? I may have to go to a track meet tomorrow. So I'll see. Anyway, I will be doing a shoot around tomorrow. So I'll see you tomorrow. Rest easy, be peaceful, spread love, and all that good stuff, man. We are up out of here. What?
This is NBK, nothing but Knicks. When Sim passed the assist, you know that it's #1 show that breaks down the game. If you can't play defense, stay out my way. Dribble the ball, come down the lane. 5 seconds on the shot clock, who gon' win us the game? You wanna hear Nick updates and trade rumors? Postgame reviews, this the place to tune in. So tell a friend just to keep the ball moving. Like the page if you feeling the movement. Every game we coming to win. Give us a sub like a player that came off the bench. This is NBK, nothing but Knicks.